Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're jumping straight into our latest explainer, taking a massive geographic journey into one of our planet's most formidable and fascinating giants, the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to break down the natural wonders, the stubborn myths, and the striking reality of this incredible body of water through the data and history that shape it. So let's get right to it. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. First up, scale and ancient origins, then the Bermuda Triangle reality. After that, vibrant reefs and blue holes, the ocean's deepest point, a sea without shores, and finally, the journey ahead. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Scale and Ancient Origins. The world's second largest ocean. 106.4 million. That is the Atlantic Ocean's sprawling footprint in square kilometers. It's just an immense, mind-boggling expanse of moving water, and it literally dictates our global climates, our trade routes, and entire ecosystems. Honestly, it's pretty tough for the human brain to visualize just how vast 106.4 million square kilometers really is. But looking at it as a planetary share, that really puts things into perspective. To wrap our heads around that vastness, this single, incredible body of water covers roughly 20% of the Earth's entire surface. And if we isolate our focus to just the globe's total surface water, the Atlantic accounts for a staggering 29%. Think about that for a second. It is literally holding a fifth of our world's entire geography. But where does the name Atlantic actually come from? Well, Atlas was a Titan god from ancient Greek mythology, famously said to stand at the edge of the Earth, holding the sky right on his shoulders. Now, obviously, the Titan himself is purely a myth, but the documented history of the name is incredibly ancient. It actually traces all the way back to the renowned Greek historian Herodotus, who first wrote about the Sea of Atlas way back around 484 BC. Let's keep this journey moving right along with Section 2, the Bermuda Triangle reality, separating fact from fiction. Now, what's really interesting here is how decades of pop culture myths get totally punctured by the heavy weight of modern scientific consensus. On the one hand, you've got the Hollywood version, right? The so-called Devil's Triangle full of supernatural tales and mysterious disappearances. But the reality is completely different. The scientific consensus is crystal clear. There is absolutely zero backing from major research centers for any of these supernatural claims. Instead, what we actually have is over 50 years of hard data showing perfectly normal, totally routine travel. To really ground us in reality, let's just look at the actual geographic boundaries. The real Bermuda Triangle simply forms a geometric shape between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda Island. And by the way, Bermuda Island is a very real, very normal UK-controlled territory. Over the last half-century, countless ships and commercial planes have flown and sailed through this exact zone, completely safely, with zero unexplained incidents. So that mystery you see in the movies? Yeah, it's just that, movies. Moving past the debunked myths, let's shift our focus to Section 3, Vibrant Reefs and Blue Holes, Biodiversity in the Caribbean. You absolutely have to check out the incredible stats on the Belize Barrier Reef. Stretching 300 kilometers, it's a massive, critical segment of the larger 900-kilometer Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. That immense scale makes it the second largest barrier reef globally, sitting just behind Australia's Great Barrier Reef. Plus, it features these beautiful mangrove forests that are just absolutely vital for marine ecosystems and biodiversity. It's so ecologically crucial, in fact, that UNESCO formally designated it a World Heritage Site back in 1996. But beyond those vibrant, sunlit statistics, there's a really fascinating mystery. What massive, dark geological anomaly lies hidden right within the shallow waters of the Belize Barrier Reef? The answer? A jaw-dropping blue hole. The Atlantic is home to the Great Blue Hole, an astonishing underwater sinkhole measuring an incredible 300 meters wide and 125 meters deep. Now compare that to the Dragon Hole, or Long Dong, over in the South China Sea. While the Dragon Hole takes the crown for the world's deepest at a roughly 300-meter plunge, the Great Blue Hole holds the title for the world's largest overall footprint. That really emphasizes just how structurally massive the Atlantic anomaly is in sheer width alone. From those sunlit, vibrant reefs of the Caribbean, we are now going to plunge straight down into the extreme, crushing depths of the ocean floor in Section 4, the ocean's deepest point, the Puerto Rico Trench. So the crucial point here is this number, 8,380 meters. That is the staggering depth of the Milwaukee Deep, the absolute deepest recorded point in the entire Atlantic Ocean. To put that into perspective, the depth is so extreme that the pressure down there is almost unimaginable for the human body. It is quite literally a completely alien world, right here on our own planet. Let's map out this massive underwater canyon so we can truly grasp its scale. The Puerto Rico Trench stretches for an enormous 800 kilometers in length. Geographically speaking, it's located roughly 160 kilometers south of Puerto Rico. And remarkably, it doesn't just start from the surface. No, it plunges an extra 6,000 meters below the already deep adjacent ocean floor basin. Talk about a true geological extreme. And to ground all this intense geography in human exploration, we have the history of its discovery. The Milwaukee Deep was formally identified on February 14, 1939. It takes its name directly from the American naval cruiser that found it, the USS Milwaukee, forever tying a piece of human naval history to the absolute deepest abyss of the Atlantic. Now let's rise all the way back up from the pitch-black trench to the sunlit surface to explore a bizarre geographical anomaly in Section 5, a sea without shores, the anomaly of the Sargasso Sea. A sea with absolutely no land borders. I know, it sounds like some kind of geographic riddle, right? But it's the mind-bending reality of the Sargasso Sea. It is the only sea on planet Earth completely surrounded by the open water of the Atlantic Ocean, rather than being contained by any physical land masses, rocks, or coastlines. No shorelines at all. And this brilliantly illustrates how that phenomenon actually works. The Sargasso Sea's borders are defined entirely by a powerful rotating vortex of shifting ocean currents. Within these invisible, moving borders, the water is filled with dense, floating patches of a specific seaweed called sargassum. This creates a highly unique, idealized breeding ground for diverse marine life. Herrings, especially, absolutely thrive in this floating, borderless haven built entirely out of currents and vegetation. We've covered some incredible ground today in our explainer, from ancient Greek myths to deep-sea trenches and borderless, floating seas. But our tour is far from over. Let's look at Section 6, the journey ahead. The next part of our explainer is going to be packed with even more wonders. We'll be exploring the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is actually the world's longest mountain range, completely hidden underwater. We're going to examine the massive, icy geography of Greenland and revisit the infamous Titanic shipwreck alongside the roaming icebergs of the North. It really begs the question, what other hidden giants and ancient secrets are still sleeping quietly beneath the surface of the Atlantic? I hope this sparks your curiosity to find out. Thank you so much for diving into the data with me today, and I'll patch you in the next one.